And as I said before in my team report, here we are with the league report. And today I have another special guest. No, it is not Finn, so you could keep the league report rolling. Why don't you introduce yourself?
You know, LQ Noble, the Indianapolis Coast user, I've formerly been known as the best QB in the league, you know, I don't mean to brag, but yeah,
I
LQ
did,
Noble call me Q, just whatever.
yeah, I did see a little bit of best pass and attack in the PMO. I saw a little bit of that last season.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into a certain trade that might have changed that or maybe made it better, made it worse. We'll talk about that a little later on. Uh, but the
hmm
first thing I want to talk about is I want to do a little interview with you. Um,
Okay.
there was a little discussion in the chat previously. Um, I think it was like early in the week where we were asking people who's the best GM, who's this, who's that. So I want to ask you a few questions about that. Um,
Okay.
who who is the most sim player you've played, and then tell me who is the most unsim player you've played so far. It doesn't have to be full cheese with the unsim. I'm not saying, oh, that
Right.
guy's just full cheese. Um,
Hmm.
just let me know who seemed the most sim, and then there's that one guy like, yeah, I gave him a 8 or a 7 compared to the 10. You know what I mean?
The most sim player that I can say I've played was the Titans. The Titans, they play a very good brand of football. Sometimes they make mistakes, they get unlucky. That's one of the more unluckier teams. Like they play a really good brand of sim football. And the Texans. The Texans, they play sim in my opinion. Besides, like they run like the general the same play and stuff, like same playbook, the same keep the same play and formation. That's just like no football basically. But the most unsim that I've played, it's either I haven't played these guys in a while, but the Bengals and the Vikings. Those two are kind of neck and neck to me, cause like the Bengals, I remember when I played them, they had like four hot routes on the play. Like I'm like, come on now, like really? Okay. And then the Vikings, like it's just like a lot of like I don't even remember, but I'm just saying that because everybody say he yourself. So, but I just
Yeah,
remember when I played him, he was kind of talking trash about how I didn't really deserve to win. So I'm just
yeah. Vikings definitely built a name for himself right out of the
um,
the gate in this league, and then he kind of wonders why people get at him sometimes. It's like, hey, you kind of brought this upon yourself by the way you came in. But I like Vikings. He's a cool kid. All the love to Vikings. He's got a lot of energy. That's just about it. And like you were
well,
saying
that's
with
what we
Bing,
need in the league.
exactly. We need energy. We need energy. Just by talking to you right now, you don't have that much energy when it comes to the chat, but I could tell you have the energy if you are on a podcast or if you on something like this. You bring that
Yeah.
good energy. As far as Bengals, he pretty much hot routes into a whole new playbook. I don't think he knows what routes he's calling half the time. he, he just
Oh
hot routes a
no.
whole new play. I don't even know why he does it. Um,
Hmm.
but let's go ahead and get into the next question. Um, some good answers there with the Titans. I did play this season, so I kind of agree with that. Have you played the Bucks yet?
No, I have not. But I heard about him. I heard.
Yeah. He's probably the most sim I've played.
Mhm.
The most unsim I've played would be the Bills. The Bills. He
I play him
that
next week.
that man. Just know if it's third and long, he's calling a mid linebacker blitz on that nickel.
A nickel double A gap.
Yep, nickel double A gap. He's calling a mid linebacker blitz on third and long. It's a guarantee half the time. Um, hopefully he doesn't watch this because they'll be like, oh, I'll switch it up now. Um,
Right.
but the next question I'm gonna give, well, the next question I want a couple answers to is around the league, who is the best team builder and who is the worst team builder so far that you've noticed? Maybe through some trades, maybe through some signings, some ridiculous contracts. Um, how do you?
Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna answer this question based on who's team that I feel like the most outmatched against. Because I don't have that super good team. My team's overall only is a 78. I'm very average team,
yeah,
around the board. So, in terms of team building, the team I felt, because I played the Chiefs and I played the Ravens. I played the Chiefs as my first game. I'm part of this league, and that was the Chargers. But I feel like in terms of team building and keeping the team, stacked and always, having the right position, always having the right players in the right place, I think I'm gonna go with the Ravens. Ravens. I haven't played the Cowboys, but I know he also has a really good team as well. But the Ravens, I don't see a hole in their team. I really don't see a hole in their team, and they're really active in the trade markets that I've seen. So I remember last year we traded for backup tight ends. We both traded for backup tight ends, and somehow, some way, his backup tight end, well, his second string tight end was putting up ridiculous numbers. So he knows what he's doing. And in terms of putting together bad teams, I mean, I feel like no disrespect, but like it's got to be the Bears. It's got to be the Bears. I just think that like if you constantly are losing, you're obviously doing something wrong. And it's like there's no shakeup within that division. Like it's always, from what I've seen, it's always been like the Vikings. It's always been the Bears last, always. So that's just in my opinion who I feel like is the best. The Ravens are the best, and the Bears are the worst. Or the Raiders. The Raiders are right there with the Bears too.
yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Ravens definitely built a good. He makes subtle moves. He doesn't make the big moves. Maybe the one big move he made was in season one when he brought over Brandon Graham, but it panned out because he had one of the best pass rush. He's had
We
one of the
also
best
picked
pass
up
rushes.
Robbie Anderson too.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson was another huge trade. Everybody let Jets know he made a mistake for the rest of the league. Even though he got him suspended from the cheese, but we won't talk about that. Uh, so we got the Ravens is a good team builder. I like the way he builds. There's a lot of good team builders, a lot of good football minds here. Um,
Yes, I agree with
even
that.
yeah, a lot of good football minds. Even the Giants. I mean, it was a little. I want to say unrealistic, because Odell did get traded in real life. So he traded Odell. He ended up getting Kyler Murray. Uh, it's not the Giants that we have now, but it's the old Giants. Hopefully he's back in Madden 20. He was a good user and a good addition to the league. And I believe he was an ex-football player, retired football player. Um, and as far as the worst, I'm not gonna blame the record on the Bears team building. Um, I'm gonna blame it on his thumbs because he's got old thumbs. Um, Worst team builder might be the Packers. They traded away their best
You know
court.
what? You're right. You're right. I forgot they traded A-Rod. Like,
They
what the hell?
he traded A-Rod. He spent big on Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi's been injured most of the time. Um, that would probably, and he picked up Amir Abdullah, who I think I traded him in the first season. I gave him Amir Abdullah, which I don't think was a smart move either. So my
Right.
pick would be the Green Bay Packers. Uh, Next question. Who is the best drafter and who is the worst drafter?
Best drafter? Mm, the best drafter. I mean, I feel like when I'm in a chat on draft days and I see like, oh, that's my guy. That's who I really wanted. I think it's between like you and JT. That's what I see at least. Like that's the best drafter because like you guys are always still oh man. I say remember that when I drafted Eno Benjamin, I said oh that guy was on my board. That guy was really like he wasn't that high on the board, but he said it was like a good pick though for his like his caliber.
Hmm.
So and like worst drafter it had to be the Rams Q because he's always trading his draft picks in this another draft.
I don't even
Yeah,
know. I don't even know if he's there for the draft half the time. He probably gets so high he
he's
doesn't know
not.
where he is.
He's not. He's always trading his draft picks. Very like he doesn't like. He's one of those people that I don't think he takes the time to scout. So
Hmm.
I feel like he just doesn't. He doesn't feel like it's any potential in the draft. Like he doesn't want to build his players up. Because to me, there's no better feeling than taking that 80 overall player and then seeing him turn into a 90 or an 87. Like that's a good feeling because you
Oh,
developed in the right way.
oh yeah, that's kind of how I am. That's why I do so much content. Is I see a lot of
Hmm.
guys with potential. Like you talked about my draft and some key guys I picked up. Jamel Dean. I built him.
Devin Bush, right? Or Devin White? I can't remember which one.
I picked Devin White third overall. I
Right.
believe Kyler and Tua went 1 and 2, which was kind of everybody knew that was going to happen with Kyler and Tua being in the same draft. Then I picked Daryl Slayton late round. He's a 6'5", 340-pound defensive tackle that has great power rushing moves and great strength. So he has a core to build upon. But that's
Right.
what I looked for when I was drafting is somebody that would have something to build upon because I do a lot of content.
Right.
And hopefully they get a good development trait. So thank you for the love on that. I think you do a great job drafting as well as I believe the Cowboys does a great job drafting. You do a great job drafting, and the Eagles is another underrated one. Um,
Isn't the Eagles like the? I heard he's like pretty unsim too though.
yeah,
He's
he just
a
goes
big
after
boy.
speed,
He's
and
a
then
big boy.
he took a 6'4" wide receiver and moved him back to running back. Even though I think in real life he would stay at wide receiver.
Wow. It's huge.
Yeah, 6'4", 240 pounds, 92 speed running back. Cheese monster in my eyes. Um,
The Cowboys got some cheese monsters. Anthony Johnson and Gavante Turpin, two 95 plus speed guys.
yeah. So
Wow.
he's got a is he's built a speaking of good GMs, he's built a good team over there in Dallas. One thing I kind of kick myself in the ass for is not really focusing on the offensive line too much. I mean, the Patriots had a good offensive line to start with, and as far as the draft, I missed on all my offensive linemen. I've yet to really hit on one. My best one has been Isaac Weaver, who I just drafted, who was a 74 overall pass protector, but I haven't really hit there. I
You
gotta
see,
go ahead.
me personally, I'm not a fan of O line. Now, and hear me out, cause in Madden, you're going to get sacked regardless.
Yeah,
It's going to happen. I don't care how good your offensive line is. Because I know, like, earlier in this year, I was shopping Quentin Nelson because, like, sometimes he'll give up a sack here and there. He'll miss a block. It's just Madden, Like, I feel like the better your skill positions are, the more leeway your offensive line has. So, like, if you got that guy breaking off the release, then what do you need him to really hold that block for that long? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So I
yeah,
mean that's just my philosophy.
yeah. I get what you're saying. Um, I I disagree a little bit. I can see what you're
Hmm.
saying because in Madden, sometimes the attributes mean nothing. It just
Right.
it happens either way. Um, but I think the Ravens have built a great offensive line, and you see some games where he's able to sit in a pocket and let a deep cross develop so far where it finally gets open when everybody seems covered. You know what I mean? And he's able to run the ball so successfully, and I think that's had something to do with a little bit with his offensive line. Um, So I think I had one more question for you. Hold on, I had it written down. Let me double check for 1 second.
And then that could also, go into, play calling, offensive and defensive play calling, because like if you have a guy so out balance that he doesn't know what you come or can't even predict like what's going on, you're gonna catch him like off guard, you're gonna catch him off balance, so that play is gonna work. So and he's really good at that. I'll give him that.
Oh, as far as the Ravens?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good at mixing it up and uh you haven't played the Bucks yet, but when you play the Bucks, you'll see he's good at checking down and not really settling. He doesn't settle with a play. He really likes to read the defense pre-snap, and he actually called a couple timeouts where he didn't like what he saw. So I was like, damn, what's going on here? So it seemed like he was on a whole nother level than I was. Um, which showed in the score as well, if as you know. All right, so all right, the last question I had for you, if you could steal one player offensively to fit your team now, and one player defensively to fit your team now, who would it be and why?
Offensive play, that's really tough. Considering, that I've been shopping for a receiver. That I was really, in the market for a receiver now. I was really, really, really trying to get a big name to come here. Like I would love Odell. I would love Odell to come to Indy. Cause like he just does it all literally, and like I could give him a drag and he'll probably take it. He could take it 90 yards, 70 yards. And then defensively, um, I honestly say that in the secondary, I need help at safety. So like Keanu Neal or even a Adrian Amos would really help. Or no, actually a Jamal Adams. That's one guy I really like. Jamal Adams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jamal
like
Adams. Jamal Adams is a stud. And as far
yeah,
as
he's a
Odell,
monster.
I mean, hit Oakland's DMs because I was talking to him about Odell this past offseason. He seemed a little loose with pulling the trigger on that. Like if I really wanted to offer him something, I think he would have did it.
You
So
see,
maybe
it's
slide
funny you
into
say
his
that.
DMs.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I've been trying. No offense to him, but like I just hate guys that don't respond. Like I'd rather you just tell me flat out no, or I'm not
Oh yeah.
interested, and not responding to the DM.
Yeah, so you
Cause
could
I
move on
look
to another piece or somebody else. You could pursue something else instead of,
right,
just sitting there
right,
waiting. Come on, you're wasting time here. You know what I mean? I gotta make a
right,
move, and I gotta know if you want to make the move or not.
man. Cause we actually had a deal in place, and then he told me he said, "Nah, I don't want to do the deal anymore." After what 2 days of not responding to me, so
Damn. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Um, yeah. So Odell, I think we were talking about Trey Flowers being sent over there during the off season. Um, but then I kind of fell in love with Terrell
Sheldon.
Shavers, who went to
Oh,
the New York Jets, the 6'6", 96 speed guy. Kind
oh
of,
yeah, yeah. That dude's a monster.
yeah, I kind of fell in love. I saw him like on the draft board, and I kind of fell in love with him. So I tried to trade up for him, but Jets ended up taking him, and I settled for Trevon Grimes, who's 6'5" and a 94 speed. So, I mean, it's not as good, but he's got better catching skills and all that. So that's pretty much for the interview. That's pretty much it. So
Hmm.
now, I don't know if you checked out the power rankings. Uh, I posted them earlier today. And hold on, JT just sent
Okay.
me a message. Yeah, I'll. All right. He just sent me a message. He wants me to advance after my league report, which I have no problem with. I could actually advance during my league report, so I'll keep everything on time. In 4 minutes, I'll advance. Um, But I don't know if you took a look at the power rankings like I was saying. Right now, I have you climbing the power rankings.
Right.
Uh, let's see here. I forgot where I had you.
You got me 13.
I got you 13 this week. Yeah, so I
Yep.
had you. Right now I have your lowest rank at 17, but that's a damn lie. I just wasn't gonna go through every team and figure out where I had them at a certain point. There's no way I could remember all the way back to week one or all the way back to week two where I had certain guys. Um, so I pretty much started it for last week. But I think I had
Hmm.
you in the 20s at one point because you started off so slow. Um,
Yeah.
and you were kind of telling me before we hopped on that that had to do with not having a preseason and not really playing since last year's regular season.
Right, right. So just to let the viewers, so not making the playoffs last year, after I think I was what 10-6, 10-6. It kind of sucks. You took the last playoff spot.
Yeah.
Salute to you. No hard feelings towards you. It still hurts though. I was really ready for the off season because we have we had the Colts. We have so much money, so much money, and then to get to the off season and the free agency process. And then to see that I wasn't able to even access the free agents. I wasn't able to access that until the second round. I kind of like, I was like, damn, well, what am I gonna do now? Like all the top dogs are gone. And so, I'm still like, me personally in this state, the state of the team is we're working our way up past mediocre because I got the foundation in Pat Mahomes. I got a nice receiver in Stanley Morgan Jr. He's pretty solid, and Julian Blackman too, and Malik Hooker. Those are all pretty solid guys, but I just need to fill some pieces.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just talk about the slow start. The game against the Jets was it was a bang bang game. I think I was up at one point in time, and then I think a turnover cost me the game. And then in the games against the Dolphins and the 49ers is a very good opponent. I was not expecting that. I took him very lightly because I didn't know who he was. Like I didn't know. And the Dolphins was just like I didn't have any offense. But now the adjustments that I made was to simple it down, make the playbook because I previously had a custom playbook, but I changed from doing that because I have so many plays at hand that I'm picking plays that I'm like, oh, this play could work, or too many tough reads. Cause in those three games, I'm sorry for taking so long, but I threw two interceptions week one. I think I threw four in week two. I threw five in week two, and then in week three, I threw three. You can't win like that. You
Yeah.
got the 10 turnovers just from your quarterback alone in 3 weeks. That's not winning the formula of football. And I've been able to turn it down. Like against the Broncos, think I had 3 touchdowns, no picks. I think I had 2 picks against the Titans, but like I said, the Titans is a pretty tough, pretty good defense. And the Cardinals I played pretty well. But yeah, it was just all a matter of simpling it down, getting back into the groove. I'll probably pick up my cousin playbook later on in the season, as more as I feel more comfortable playing. But yeah, I blame those 3 losses on the rust.
Yeah, you were telling me you didn't play any preseason, so it was kind of an extended preseason, kind of like the New England
Yep.
Patriots in real life, how they the first like 4 weeks
Yeah.
they kind of it's their extended preseason, as Bill
Right.
Belichick always says. And you brought up a point where I kind of told Key, the Rams user, just simple it
Hmm.
down. He tries to be too out of the box. Just keep it simple, stupid, and good things will happen. Especially in this league where you got a lot of guys that are are overthinking and trying to force in windows. And if you're able to control the ball, keep it simple, you're able to actually win in this league because you got too many
Right.
people trying to take risk. Um, But you're coming up. You started 0-3, right? And now you're 4-0 in
Yeah.
the last four. So
Yeah.
you're starting to gain some momentum. You're starting to catch fire. So that's a good sign. And now speaking of your team, and you mentioned having Patrick Mahomes now. Let's actually go into your team and your thought process on trading Andrew Luck and other positions in your system. Maybe something you're looking for, maybe something um, that you had a view on when you were drafting or you were signing free agents. Just go into that for me. We'll start with your quarterback, obviously.
Okay. There was a play last season where I had a guy burnt on a corner route. And it's a touch pass type throw, so it's like, it has to land right in the pocket. And Andrew Luck came back from he was actually hurt last season. Let's not forget he was hurt for like 11, like he was injured for a extended amount of time with a broken collarbone. So not having him, I was like, wow, like, and then his lack of throw power just doesn't help his case at all. The fact that he's up to like 32, somewhere around that, it doesn't really help at all. And so getting Patrick Mahomes was just my foundation, because like if I have Patrick Mahomes, then I could just build, around him because he's gonna be consistent. You know, People talk about his accuracy issues, but me personally, I haven't had that many accuracy issues with him, unless I'm, trying to lead a ball too far. That's maybe what happens with other people. But with him, it's just, it's pretty simple. Just like, gets the ball to where it needs to go, and pretty much I haven't really been able to make any moves on the offensive side of the ball. Like I had Stanley Morgan when I was before and T.Y. Hilton before. I drafted N'Keal Harry though. I expected him. He's 6'4", got 90 speed. He's really good in the slot. Really good for 7 yards on the drag and stuff. Giovanni and they trade off carries. Because sometimes Gio's a little bit too small to take them carries up the middle, and I prefer to have a slightly bigger back in to get those carries. But and then on my game plan really is like control what you can control, like, and take care of the football. And like I try to at least get 3 points on every drive, minimum. Because if I'm getting 3 points and the other person is putting up 0 points every time, and I'm putting up 3 points every time, I'm gonna win that game. I beat the Titans off straight field goals. I didn't score a touchdown that single game, and I still managed to beat him. So it's just all about scoring more. It's all about scoring points. And then with the defense, last year we had a very poor linebacking core. I had two low 70 overalls at middle linebacker. And then I had a 70, and then I had a 77 at outside, both the outside linebacker positions, and I kind of filled those needs with some pretty old guys, trying to let some young guys develop for the time being because, they're just stoppers, as they say, and the front seven is actually pretty good. They get their shares when they need to, and as far as being on the defensive side of the ball, I try and create as much pressure as I can when it is needed. Cause I like blitzing, but not really too much because like that's how you get burnt. And like you
Hmm.
said earlier, I don't have that much speed in my secondary that I could be running man blitzes because I get burnt by a Tyreek Hill or even by like a Odell or something like that.
Yeah.
I just try and I try and let my corners be able to roam and zone and stuff so they can have the freedom. Like if they get burnt, it's because they very rarely get burnt. I'm gonna say that unless I pick the wrong coverage. And this team is relatively young besides like the Jabal Shear and Devontae Perfect and Sean Lee. So like I said earlier, we're coming up from leaving mediocrity. We're trying to, start to continue, with the big dog like the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Browns. Those are good squads and stuff. Shit, even the Texans, but I don't know where they've been this season. But yeah, I just try and keep a really balanced approach. Sometimes my downfall is that if the run isn't working, I tend to either run alone really fast because like it's a really stagnant game if you like running the ball, and I'm not a very stagnant person. I like producing and providing, getting stuff and keeping the ball moving forward. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's my team. I truly I really I'm trying to think if I want to hold off to the draft to try and get a receiver, but I only got how many more? When the trade deadline?
Actually, we just advanced to the trade deadline. Week 8, I believe, is a trade deadline,
Mm.
if I'm
So
not
week 8,
mistaken.
like I have, and so it's looking like that. I'm gonna be sticking with the same two guys, Stanley Morgan and Ty, because nobody's trying to trade Raiders. But yeah, that's my team. Patty Mahomes is my foundation. I'm just gonna build around him.
Yeah, and you mentioned N'Keal Harry, who got drafted
Yeah.
by the Patriots in real life, so hopefully he comes out big in real life. Um, I there's one running back I wanna ask about is Jocks Patrick. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. The
Hmm.
6'3", 230-pound running back. He
Right.
seems to be pretty solid. I mean the elusiveness is a little low, but 83 spin, 83 juke. Pretty good catching ability. Uh, have you used him, or is it somebody that you thought about building, or
I
anything like
use
that?
him. I use him in powers and like the three tight end sets goal line. I use him because he got 88 trucking. So like that's when I use that's when he gets his carries. But like me personally, I prefer an elusive back. A running back that could take a flat spin off the cornerback or linebacker that's there and give me like 20 yards. That's what I prefer. So that's why Giovanni Bernard wasn't bad. When he was in his prime. But other than the fact that he gets hurt a lot, but other than that, Jax Patrick last game he actually played pretty good. I think he had like 3 carries for like 30 some yards. So I don't know. He may get some more carries in the future. I don't know. Depending
Yeah,
on
the
how I
one
feel.
ugly thing I would say about him is his agility too. Only has
Yeah.
79 agility, so that's probably the other thing that's pretty hideous about him. Um, Speaking about quarterbacks too, and Patrick Mahomes, Cole McDonald stepped in last season, and given that you had a good passing attack go and you were pretty much in mid-season form, he stepped in and he performed pretty well. I mean, not Andrew Luck well, but he performed still pretty well for you. You want to go into that a little bit?
Cole McDonald, he was kind of like, for me, he was just that game manager. He wasn't expected to really do too much. Like last year, he threw for 1,600 yards, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He completed like 68% of his passes. Wasn't bad. I wasn't really expecting him to really, do a whole lot because he's like Cole McDonald. He's a backup quarterback.
Hmm.
But however, I will say this: he does have superstar development. So, I mean, if anybody wants to, come get them a quarterback and build them a quarterback, because look, he got 90 throw power. He reminds me a little bit of Andrew Luck, a little bit. He got the intermediate game on lock. He get throw under pressure too. Only thing you really need to work on with him is his deep ball. That's about it. Other than that, he's pretty solid. I am gonna say pretty solid.
Yeah, I didn't see that superstar potential, but that's key. It could be a good trading piece for a wide receiver out there. If anybody's watching right now, you need a quarterback
Man,
that you could build, and you got a wide receiver that you could spare. Hit up the Colts. He's got a pretty good one there, and especially with the training camps now that we have, and you could add to that
right.
throw power. You know, maybe that's somebody. Um, right now, I'm taking a look at the rest of your team. There's one other question I had too about the defensive side of the ball. Not
Right.
only are you slow kind of on the cornerbacks, but you also don't have any really, besides your middle linebacker, you don't have a lot of speed at the linebacker position. You're obviously a linebacker user. If you weren't, you'd probably be
Right.
getting smoked. How do you deal with the slower type linebackers? Because most people need speed at linebacker, and you seem to be doing well with mediocre speed at linebacker.
Well, with me, so you see, you got Sean Lee, 79 speed, but he got 80 zone coverage and 92 pursuit. So I just let Sean Lee roam. I let Sean Lee do what Sean Lee does. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And the same with, and I don't. You may confuse Vontez for he's never in zone. Now Vontez is always mainly rushing the passer
Hmm.
or even like attempting to defend the run. I don't ever have Vontez in coverage unless I'm using him. And when it comes in terms of linebackers having speed or not, it really I like speed, but like I've done good in my I was in I was in another league called the NBC, and I had Levante David and Quan Alexander, two very they're not the most athletic, but they can move. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Hmm.
not you don't really need to have ridiculous amounts if you make the smart movements. I don't need the glitchy player that's gonna you going to the post, but then you see the end coming in, and you just automatically drop down to the end. I don't need that because like in my opinion that's kind of like really how you gonna go towards the post and then get the drag, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't really. I play a lot of zone, and so like if you got guys that have a solid zone, and then you really only need two linebackers in zone, in my opinion, you could blitz the other one. So like sending Vontez just makes the because you know what they say pressure plus pipes. So Vontez generally disrupts whatever they got going on, and then I'll be covering it with what's his name? I think Justin Phillips. Justin Phillips. He got 86 speed, which is good enough for me. I know how to make the right adjustment, know how to make the right reads and stuff in order to make the play. So
And even
you
if you
know,
wanted to leave Justin Phillips on his own as an AI or a computer, you can because he's got that 84
right,
zone coverage, so he's pretty solid
right.
in the passing game. As far as Vontez Burfict, you said so you run a 3-4, not a 4-3.
No, I run a hybrid. I run both.
Oh, so you run both.
Right.
Vontez Burfict, you said you usually use him as a rusher or a run stopper. How
Hmm.
does he accumulate a lot of sacks for you? Just based by
Yes,
his power moves and his finesse moves, you wouldn't think so. Um,
because my fault. I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, that's fine.
But in terms of like sending him like he's amassed 4 sacks in 8 games, which is good enough for me. I
Hmm.
mean that's and he's got 5 tackles for loss because I don't have him necessarily on the line. I'll blitz him from the linebacking position
Hmm.
in a 4-3 look because
Okay.
that just he's coming full head of steam. You only blocking what your line and then the running back.
Hmm.
Somebody's going to get loose, and then if he gets to
Yeah.
your running back, he's more likely than not he's going to get past your running back. So, I mean that's how I view it. I
Okay.
know
So
he's not. Yeah.
yeah, he gets most of his pressure from a blitz from the middle linebacker slot. I mean, he's right outside linebacker, but he's kind of lined up in the middle, and he's kind of coming full speed, is full steam ahead and getting through that offensive line, and that's really where he gets his sacks. He's not really a 3-4 edge presence. He's more of a you know, catch you by surprise and clock you in your mouth kind of blitzer. Kind of like a Dante Hightower in New England in real life,
Yep.
how they use him is what I'm
Right.
trying to get at. And let's take
Yeah.
a.
And then with me, I'm all about stopping the run and forcing you to pass. Cause it's like,
Mhm.
if you can run, then like you basically like you got half the battle already.
Yeah.
Cause like if you can run, get you a consistent 4 to 6 yards, a pop, like what can you really do? Cause you don't want to double down and then start sending a blitz, and then on top of that that's where you get your quick slants and then you know that type of stuff, and then you're fucked.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because that's uh that's kind of that's fucked me on offense is, you know, uh, anybody could really do whoever has eyes could tell. Once you stop the run game for me, it's really tough for me to, control the ball and, move the offense. I mean, don't get me wrong, I could still move the offense a little bit through the air, but then some of the mistakes come in and the way guys use her in this league, it's a lot tougher to move the ball through the air. Um, so
You are
like you,
definitely right about that.
so
That's
you,
because I've never seen so many flat users before. Like people covering the people using flat routes, like the
yeah,
flat coverages. I've never seen that. I've never seen that. Usually it's always the middle linebacker. So that's been an adjustment.
yeah, and speaking
Texans do
of
that really well.
yeah, speaking of there's guys like when I played Tampa Bay this past week. He uses all over the field. Like he doesn't stay in a particular player, a particular zone. He's all over the field, so you never know where he is, which is
Hmm.
a good little strategy on defense to really throw people off. And I took a look, and there's another linebacker that kind of gave me a little interest. Colin Schuler. Um, what really got me interested is the 90 acceleration. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest speed, but he has great acceleration and good agility. Um, and it's pretty good zone coverage. Is that somebody you're looking to build to be the second linebacker, or you basically gonna wait until free agency or the draft?
Um, in terms of you said, am I looking forward to like building this position in the free agency or the draft?
Yeah, because you have Colin Schuler, and he seems pretty nice fit with the 82 speed, 90 acceleration, 85 agility. He seems like somebody like a project piece somebody would use to kind of fill in a role or a spot. Is that somebody you're looking to build, or are you just, I'm gonna take a linebacker in a draft or and hope I hit, or take a linebacker in free agency? You did say you have a lot of money, so maybe that would be the case there. You have a lot of cap.
Him personally, I drafted him in the same draft where I drafted Eno, and I drafted him, I believe, I don't remember, but I drafted him pretty early, and I was pretty disappointed to see that he was really low and didn't have really a really good development trait. Cause like I was expecting, I drafted him in the third round, and he's been a bust basically, cause he's not able to play to man that position. I'm not comfortable with him manning that position.
All
So I
right,
think
so
I'll probably build through free agency.
okay, yeah. So I mean, what drew me was his acceleration and his agility at the linebacker position, but I understand what you're saying. Um, And last question I have pretty much on the defensive side is why do you have this man on your defense, Malik Antone, 82 speed, 94 acceleration, 95 agility? Why does he have a roster spot right now with that 82 speed?
You see, he doesn't touch the field. That's basically like he's basically just a filler player. He doesn't touch the field at all. I think probably signed him in the preseason or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I was like,
So yeah,
I don't think anybody would
just a
hold a
filler.
spot
Yeah,
like that for somebody. Um,
yeah. No, personally. I try and stay away from like those big packages unless I'm learning victory formations to man up three deep.
Yep,
So
yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I barely use that. I like to stay in base a lot as well. Um, even I rather with Devin White on defense with his speed. Sometimes I'm able to just keep him on a wide receiver, especially if they got a slower wide receiver. Um, but yeah, that was some good insight on your team. Um, I like your view on how you run it. Your ideas based on your linebackers and how you really don't need a lot of speed as long as you're smart and don't have many missteps. Kind of like I have a shit ton of missteps, so it doesn't matter how athletic my linebackers are. I get them out of position. I was a lot better last season. I gotta keep working on that and kind of
Right.
find my groove again. Um, but it was a pleasure talking to you.
Oh man,
Patrick
anytime.
Mahomes, huh?
I say anytime.
Yeah, you've been great. Gave us a lot of insight on your team. You had good energy. Threw a couple jokes in there, which I enjoyed. Um, but I think that's gonna do it for now. Unless, do you want to talk about the power rankings? Do you have your own little power rankings? I think I
I
asked
I
you if you
can't say
wanted.
that. I don't personally watch enough of the league to say that, but like I said earlier, the hardest person that I've played was probably I think it probably was the Ravens, just because of just how outmatched I was. So to me, they shall always be number one. They've been in the Super Bowl what every year this league has been running every season. You know what I mean? So I think that alone, should hold, some weight and give them some clout, enough to, they should always be the
Yeah,
top two and not two. So, in my opinion.
yeah, I hear you on that. But like I said, it's been great talking to you. Thank you for breaking down your team. Thank you for joining me and answering some questions. It's been a pleasure having you on, and I'll definitely have you on
Yes.
again at some point, especially if not everybody hops on. I mean, they all should hop on at some point, enjoy a little conversation with the Boston kid. Um, but it's been a
Oh, you
pleasure.
from Boston?
No,
Oh,
I'm not exactly from Boston. Everybody says, "Oh, I'm from Boston." I'm not exactly from Boston, but I live about an hour away from Boston. So
so
I
you a Red Sox fan?
I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm a Patriots fan, I'm a Boston Bruins
Oh,
fan, I'm a Boston Celtics fan. I'm a hometowner. I'm a townie.
oh no! I thought you was cool. Oh, I thought you were cool, dude.
Turns out I'm not, man.
How could? Oh man, I bet you if I tell you my favorite baseball team, you're gonna be pissed.
It's probably the Yankees. That's the idea I get there.
Oh yeah, definitely the Yankees. Definitely.
The rivalry. I'm gonna be honest. The new generation, there's not much of a rivalry as it was back in the day. I miss the old rivalry.
Oh,
It's not as bad as it used to be. I mean,
oh,
I still want to wear a Boston Red Sox jersey around New York, but I don't think it's as bad as it used to be.
nah, 'cause people are becoming softer and more sensitive. So
Oh yeah, the damn millennials. Tell me about it.
Oh no, me personally, I don't care. The
Yeah.
whole thing about it's baseball. People are gonna do what they're gonna do. People gonna get
Mhm.
hit. People gonna fight. It is what it is.
Exactly. It's my view on it is you don't bother me, I don't bother you. We gonna be good. I don't care about anything else. Let me do what I'm doing. You do what you're doing. Just don't push your agenda on me and don't force
Right,
me into anything I don't want to do, and then we're all set.
right.
But yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming on. I look forward to playing you. I think I play you this season, do I?
Yeah, you're playing week 11.
Oh, there we go. So I look forward to our matchup in week 11. Um, give it your all. Take that playoff spot. Hopefully I can win the division. Hopefully you win the division, especially with the Texans being MIA for now. Um,
Right.
he's moving, so he's coming back. I think he'll be back for this week. I think he's coming back tomorrow, actually. I think that's when he said he'll
Mm.
be all set. So hopefully he joins up, creates a great playoff race over there, and gives you a little bit of competition. But like I said, thank you for coming on. You have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.
You too, man.